trying to cut them off and they trying to cut you off.
But I have, I say this all the time. Whenever I have a guest in the studio, I am giddy. I'm giddy because it's wonderful when people come into the station at 9 in the morning or 12 noon or at 4 o'clock or at drive time, or even when they come at 11 o'clock around midnight with Mike Bonner. But when somebody makes it their business to come over here in Southfield at 1 a.m. in the morning, oh, that's love. That's love.
Yeah, I have plenty of it because I'm here at 1 o'clock in the morning.
That is love. So I have Mr. Rick Ector in the building. So let me tell you some things about him.
Uh-oh, you see if you did your homework and your research.
I did a little research.
I was wondering if I had to send you a CV or something. No, you actually researched me.
I do research.
Depending on what you found. Oh man.
So he's a keynote speaker. You can get him. You can get him to speak. He's an expert witness. I really want to find out about that expert witness. What he be an expert witnessing on? And then a civil rights advocate. Also, a media host. We got that in common. And then a firearms instructor. He's the head man in charge over at Rick's Firearm Academy of Detroit. So that's where you go. We're going to find out about that.
Oh, yeah. You've been to my LinkedIn page. Okay. All right. I'm impressed.
Let me say this. He got some credentials, y'all. And that's what's important. That when you find people that's an expert in what they do, they can't just say they're an expert. They done had to do something. They done had to get some certifications. So let me tell you what he is. He's an appointed NRA training counselor. You got to tell me what that means. I don't even know what that means.
Right.
Then he's an appointed chief range safety officer. I don't know what that means either. And then he's an NRA certified instructor. So you can be an instructor, but he's certified. So he ain't just doing just to be doing. He's certified. I love it when you got some credentials because I am the credential queen. And then he's an NRA membership recruiter. So if you're interested in being a member, he can recruit you. And then I also went and found out that, he's from the D, and he graduated from Cooley in 1980 and a 4, which is the same year.
You put it way out there. You've given people a clue as to how ancient I am.
You ain't ancient. The years have been kind. I look good to have graduated in 84. I don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
I'm proud of my age.
Right.
And then he also attended Wayne State University in engineering.
Yes, I did. Industrial engineering.
Industrial engineering. Hey, Leonard. So, wow. Welcome.
Hey, thank you for having me. I know we talked about coming on and doing some things. And I will have to say, man, I was thinking 1 o'clock. Wow. And then you know what? I said, look, I can do this. Let's make it happen. I don't want to do any radio over the phone thing. I want to come in into studio and sit in a chair and sit back and relax and get comfy and actually take in the experience. So I'm here, glad to be here, and let's have some fun.
Okay, so my first question is, I'm an expert witness. I've been an expert witness, but I'm an expert witness when it comes to if a person has mental challenges, if they have like what behaviors I've seen, what things I've assessed, things of that nature. So what are you an expert witness in?
Well, there was this case that a good friend of mine that I'm blessed to know, Mr. Terry Johnson, the criminal defense attorney. He's kind of phasing out of that work with all of his activity with firearm legal protection, and if so, we can talk about that later. But he had a case, and he thought it would serve his client if he retained me to be an expert witness in the case. And essentially, what an expert witness is a person who has relevant experience, knowledge, expertise in a specific area. Okay. And then right before the actual trial starts, there's this term, and I think it's French. And forgive me if I mispronounce it, but it's voir dire or whatever. And it's where there's a there's like a mini trial, right,
Okay.
between the criminal defense attorney and the prosecutor's office, where there's some back and forth about your background and your credentials
Okay.
and whether that court will recognize you as
Okay.
an
Yes.
expert. And so we went through this process, and it felt like a trial. And at the end of the day, my experience, my education, my publishing, my media experiences and appearances, the judge had no problem with qualifying me as an expert in her court as it related to self-defense, personal protection, firearm operation, how guns function, and that type of thing. So that was a nice little feather to put in my hat.
It
And
is
I
nice.
appreciated that.
It's nice. It's not okay. So I want to go to this. Okay, so what made you get so into firearms? Because you are because when I'm gonna be real honest, when I think of firearms, I think of you.
And that's what every person who wants to be a subject matter expert wants to be. They want to be top of mind
that's so good.
when a term or when a process or when a field comes up. They said, "Hey, we want the guy, okay?" And you want to be
You
or
want to be
gal,
that
that
you
person,
want to be that person,
right? I want to be, gender exclusive, right? You want to be that person that people think about when they think about your topic. And hopefully I've accomplished that.
Done that.
Here in the Metro Detroit area. But how I got into, guns, I was actually not really into guns maybe 13, 14 years ago.
Okay.
And I'll tell you, I had an epiphany. I had a life-changing experience.
Oh, I love those.
And it occurred in my driveway around this time of year, about 14 years ago.
Okay.
I was coming home from work, and let me tell you, the funny part is, and I usually don't share this with a lot of people, as I was parking my car in the garage, one of those songs came on. Me and you are the same age, and so you remember, like back in middle school, this song called "Knee Deep" by the Parliament Funkadelics, right?
Yes. Oh.
So I'm parking my car in the garage. "Knee Deep" came on.
And you started grooving.
I started grooving in the garage.
And
stopped paying attention. And as I walked out of the garage and was locking up the door, two rascallions magically appeared with guns, and they proceeded to rob me of my possessions in my driveway. Needless to say, it was a life-changing experience, and it caused me to change some opinions that I had strongly held. I was not a person who wanted to get a concealed carry license once they became issue here in the state of Michigan, but I had to rethink that position, and I became a gun owner. I became a person who was consumed with knowledge. And that wasn't just enough. I wanted to know it all, right? I didn't want to know just a little bit.
Oh, we got so much in common.
I wanted to know everything.
I'm like that.
And so then when the amount of knowledge that I was getting wasn't returning back what I wanted for the hour invested in studying, I said, well, I need to find a way to learn some more. And so I became an instructor. And so once I became an instructor, I started racking up certifications, right? Certifications and things I'll probably never, ever teach. But the thing is, each individual certification gave me a little bit more and gave me a well-rounded individual such that I'll take that as a compliment. So I wanted to know it all, even if I only just focused on just one section of that expertise. I have all this other knowledge that I can pull from if that situation arises. And it's been a journey, and I get nothing but fulfillment out of it, out of the people that I meet, out of the lives that I change, out of the people that I empower. People usually come and see me after they've had probably one of the worst possible things ever happen to them. A lot of times, people are more proactive, and they say, well, hey, I might need this one day.
That's proactive.
Right.
But then most people are reactive.
I was reactive. Yeah. And you know what? It's really a sad thing to see people after, the worst possible thing that could happen to them. I've had students who've been raped, who've been hospitalized, who've been brutally beaten. I mean, you want to be proactive. But see, here's the thing. I don't want to be the person that preaches, fire and brimstone like some pastors on Sunday, So they're preaching so tough you can smell the fire and the brimstone, right? I want to be the person who wants to give you information such that when you are ready to act on it, you'll come see me.
Okay, so I have a question. Because I know that I should have a gun. I really should.
Well, it's not a question of whether you should. It's a question of do you want one?
Well, this is why I think I should. Because I am by myself a lot. I am recognized.
Yes, you're famous.
I'm recognized.
You are famous.
When I go places.
Why are you trying to short sell yourself? You are famous. You are a recognizable figure. You're on TV. You're on Let It Rip all the time. You even have your regular ongoing segments.
Yes,
on
I do.
TV.
People 911 with Dr. Sabrina.
I mean, you all over the place. And you know what? When people see you, it might be a couple of knuckleheads be like, oh, she might have some money.
That's what people think. I think that when people, because me and Coco say this all the time. We say this about men. Just like men trying to date us.
Okay.
Well, it's just the truth. We think that
as a man, I'm going to give you feedback I'm going to give you feedback on something that you guys think that you understand about men.
We're just talking about our
whether we're talking about all men or just the men that y'all have experiences with.
Yes, just our experiences. That's our experience.
Okay, so that makes you an expert in
that experience. Right. So many men, because they hear you on the radio or see you on TV, they think you're rich. So they don't think that they need to, take you out and then they get to asking for stuff. I have more men ask for stuff.
Well, see, that's going to make me ask you.
I don't give
nothing. Wait. I didn't say you did. What that's going to make me ask you is where are you finding these men?
Let me tell you something.
Because the word you used was men. Where are you finding these men? Men, and here's maybe I'm old school.
Okay, let's call them male.
We go back to high school. We graduated in 1984.
1984.
We're old school. A lot of these younger folks.
Ty says not true.
What's not true?
They just said not true. I don't know what you mean. Not true. That
but listen to what
men
I'm saying.
think that we're rich because men don't be. Okay.
If a man is interested in you,
come on,
he will court you. But you know what? That's old school.
That's so old school.
They don't do that these days.
Why
these young
not?
folks.
Okay. So
you know what? I don't claim that I understand what young folks are doing.
But it's not just young.
There's old guys that come your way. They introduce themselves to you, and once they express their desire to know you better, then all of a sudden they have their hand out asking you for stuff. Is that what you're telling me?
Say that's not true. I know that that's not true. But it's people that think that. Somebody said, that's not true that because you are on the radio that you're rich. Well, people see you on TV. They see you,
You're a recognizable figure.
Yeah, they think that you're rich.
You must be. You on TV, you on the radio.
TV,
you obviously important. So important people usually are rich, right? I get how some people might make the connection. I truly do.
I do think that it's gotten worse since I started doing this particular show, because this particular show topic tends to be adult in nature, and we talk about sex quite a bit. And so I think, and I've had people tell me that men, because they hear you talk about sex, if they like you, they are automatically thinking about, okay, all this stuff she talk about, do she do that? Because she, is she going to turn me out? Is she going to, can I turn her out?
See, listen, I think you're guilty of generalization.
No, I've had people say that to me.
I've
had people say that to me.
Well, all I'm going to say is, individual experiences with a handful of people or less, right? Or less, does not set the rule for everyone, right? Don't stereotype men, because you know what? Women talk about don't stereotype
that's so
women.
Nice.
I'm going to tell you not to stereotype men.
Okay.
There's great guys, and then there's not so great guys.
So Ty say they could be trying to talk to you because you're gorgeous. Ever thought about that? I have. But it's what people do that makes me. I'm like this.
What's that?
I really pay attention to people's actions.
Well, they speak louder than
They
words.
speak very loud. So soon as you come out your bag, out the side of your neck, I'm going on. I'm going on. I'm just going on. Because I just don't have time. I don't have, my tolerance level at this age is,
Okay.
a little bit, just a little bit. It is time for me to take my first break of the evening. We're going to be back with more of the Essentially Sabrina Show right here on 9:10 a.m., the Superstation.
Essentially Sabrina. Essentially Sabrina. Essentially.
So you've decided to go to college. That's cool. So pop quiz. Which is a better way to earn your degree? Commute to college and fill your gas tank, get stuck in traffic, drive in bad weather, try to find a parking space, walk a half mile to class, or learn online at Independence University. In the park on a bench, on the beach on a towel, or on your couch with your kid, your campus is wherever you want it to be. You don't go to college. College goes to you. That's independence. That's Independence University. You schedule classes around your schedule, and all your supplies, including a brand new laptop and tablet, are included with tuition. At Independence U, you'll learn from professional instructors with real work experience. You'll get personal support in school and employment assistance when you graduate. Get your degree, but keep your life. That's independence. That's Independence University. So if you're really smart, you call now.
Call 1-800-556-7791.
Independence U for an independent you.
Call 1-800-556-7791.
So you've decided to go to college. That's cool. So pop quiz. Which is a better way to earn your degree? Commute to college and fill your gas tank, get stuck in traffic, drive in bad weather, try to find a parking space, walk a half mile to class, or learn online at Independence University. You don't go to college. College goes to you. That's independence. That's Independence University. And all your supplies, including a brand new laptop and tablet, are included with tuition. Independence U for an independent you.
Call 1-800-556-7791.
Are you drowning in debt? Struggling just to make minimum payments? It's not your fault. Serious debt can happen to anyone, but there is hope. Our debt-free program has helped thousands of good people just like you eliminate their credit card debt. Call us today and we will dramatically reduce your credit card debt down to just a fraction of what you owe. The call is free. The consultation is free. Take control of your credit debt. Take control of your life again. Call now to see how our debt-free program can work for you.
Call 800-872-5230.
And welcome back. You are tuned into the Essentially Sabrina Show. I am your host, Dr. Sabrina. Oh, my goodness. It is going to be live up in here tonight, I tell you. Rick Ector is in the building, and he is the gun aficionado. He knows everything because he's certified in everything. So we're going to talk about personal protections, especially around this time of year, because if you're looking at the news, we're seeing all this stuff.
Yeah.
They got the people shooting up people's houses for no reason, just standing out and shooting up a people. The old lady house. Why you shooting up the old lady house?
I don't know. Case of mistaken identity. Why that house or some other house or I don't know. That was one of the most bizarre.
Wasn't that bizarre?
And it's like happening on a regular basis. Is
Yes.
that same story?
Yes.
Yes. I think there's something going on mentally with that individual that's shooting up that house, and there's some connection he has with something that's causing him to act out
at that house.
At that house.
Yes.
When they finally catch this guy, maybe
they caught him.
Oh, they did catch him.
They got him.
Okay, so
Yes.
they probably had a chance to talk with him and figure out what his deal was because he was obviously fixated on that house.
Uh-oh. Ty said, great instructor. I got certified by him.
Thank you very much for the feedback. I appreciate it.
So in order for me to get certified,
Mhm.
I have to take a day-long class. It's all day.
Well, let's define what you mean by day. Like it's not 24 hours. No, it's an 8-hour day.
8-hour day.
If-
That's a
if-
work day. That's
if-
a work day.
You know, that's if everything is working great. 8 hours. If every-
Okay. Oh,
And when I
What
say
could be- what
when I
could
say
be-
not working great, what I mean by that is that I'm one of the instructors who, if there is something that you need, you know, I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to make sure it's provided to you. Like if we were to go strictly by the agenda for the 8-hour agenda, the legal section would only be an hour. Okay. But there's so much to talk about
legally.
in just the legal section
good. That's
that
good
an
to know.
hour
It's really not enough time.
really doesn't, in my opinion, do it justice. And
Okay.
usually what happens is that 1 hour usually turns into 2 hours. And so that,
Wow.
you know, I really don't, brag about that taking, that
Something
class
I have
is
to do
usually an
that.
extra hour. But here's what I found. If I was to just abruptly end the legal section after an hour, you guys would be like, hey, but what about this? What about that? I want to make sure I
you
meet
do,
your
yeah.
expectations. And if I end up having to over deliver, then fine, I'm willing to do that. But, I've been fortunate in that I found legal experts to teach that section of the course, and it's well received, and I'm not putting people to sleep. I'm not the
that's
guy.
good.
I'm not the guy that throws in a videotape.
Good. I hate
And
those.
then I leave the room, and then I
Come
run
back.
back and peek in the
Peek in
door
the
and make
door.
sure you're not asleep.
Yeah.
I'm an instructor. I like to teach. I like to be up in front of the class on my feet. I want to engage you. I want to involve you.
You're like me in a
I
man.
want. That's a compliment, right?
I mean, really, I'm certified in 1,000
right,
things.
right.
I love knowing what I know, and I
Right.
love engaging the audience. when I'm
Well, I
training.
don't know if you can tell. I'm not exactly a shy person.
Neither am I.
I'm not shy at all. And if you ever see me somewhere and I'm not, over the top, it's because I'm intentionally putting it under wraps and intentionally bringing it down and intentionally.
So if I see you out and you don't like,
I mean, I'm not bouncing off the walls.
you know,
or
and if you
anything,
don't
but-
speak to me,
well,
or
if I saw you, if I know you, I'm going to speak to you.
oh,
Even if I don't know you, if I recognize you and I like you, I'll even introduce myself to you. But if I recognize you and I don't like you and never met you, then, I may not say anything.
Yeah.
To you,
okay. So this
Because there's
class,
people that see me and don't know me, and, just because of what I espouse and what I'm passionate about, it's a turnoff for some people.
oh yeah, people, yeah,
People will hate you just because you
People-
own a gun. People
Yeah,
will hate
people
you
hate
because
you,
you have
yeah.
a concealed pistol license. People will hate you because
You know,
you're
I-
talking about,
okay. So what is a CCW?
oh, yeah.
Because
That.
I kept calling it a CCW, and then my girlfriend said, "No, Sabrina, it's not a CCW. It's a CPL."
My personal opinion is that when you use certain terminology,
Mm-hmm.
just based on the context in which you use it, I know what you mean.
Okay.
Okay, and yes, when people approach me or they run across my website or they come across me in social media, that I actually even play on that. My domain name is DetroitCCW.com. And see, here's the thing. It's not a CCW license. It's not a CCW. It's a CPL, a concealed pistol
Right.
license.
So what does
And
CCW mean?
And so I know that there are people who don't know that it's a CPL. So what I'm doing is I want the people who don't know that it's a CPL and that it's not a CCW, because I'm going to give people what they're looking for. If you're going to Google and you're looking for CCW,
You're gonna find me.
you're going to
And
find
you're
me.
gonna find me first.
And then
And then I'm gonna draw you in.
then once I bring you into the fold, we bring you into the class, then I'll say, hey, a CCW, that stands for, carrying a concealed weapon.
So that's like a police term.
That's like a legal term. That's like a term that describes
An act.
potentially committing a crime, carrying a
Okay.
concealed
Okay.
weapon. And of
Oh.
course, if you're carrying a concealed
So
weapon
I'm saying
and you
that I
don't,
need a CCW
and
and I
which generally is construed as being a gun, if you're carrying a concealed gun,
Right.
handgun, then and if you don't have the license, you're guilty of a felony. And the license that you're actually issued by the state of Michigan is a CPL, which is the acronym for a concealed pistol license.
license.
And so if you were to use the term in context, I know exactly what you mean. And I'm not a person where if we're talking socially, where I need to, correct you.
I wouldn't consider it correction, but I would want you to inform me because I feel like knowledge is power. So that's just like with my hair. When people say, "Oh, those are cute dreads," and I stop and say, "Well, you know what? They're actually locks because there's nothing dreadful about them." I said, "In fact, you want me to tell you?"
Teachable moment, right?
It's a teachable moment because I'm not going to be responding to dreadlocks because there's nothing dreadful about my hair. You got a question here, and it says for a first-time gun owner, how do you determine what size you should carry? Question: Does it depend on your comfort level?
Man, buying a handgun is a decision that takes into a lot of different factors, and I would say, first and foremost, you have to get the best gun for you. You can't just go into this proposition that I want this gun. No, it has to be the best gun for you. And some of the things that come into play would be the size of the gun, obviously. And the size of the gun is really going to be dictated and based on some other factors, probably what your hands are like.
I got little hands.
So if you got little itty bitty,
They not
teensy
itty,
wincy, little bitty hands, there's no way I would give you a big giant form factor full size.
I can't have a big gun
that doesn't fit your hands, right?
I got to be able to have it in my little bitty hand.
That's not going to work best for you, right? I'm not going to say not going to work for you because there's people out there that do it. It's not going to work best for you.
I want
size,
it to work best. Size
matters, right? Especially when it comes to guns, right?
So
People usually make that connotation. But see, here's the thing. If you have big hands, yeah, you need a really big gun. It's really funny because I get students who have their own gun, and there's these really big guys, and they got these really big hands, and someone, I guess, at the gun shop talked them into getting this small subcompact gun, and they really can't hold it right.
Can't navigate it because it's too small.
And can't manipulate the controls on it. It's really not the best situation.
So when you go to the gun store, the person who's selling you the gun, do they trick people? I'm
not going to say trick people, but I'll say this. There are different mindsets amongst different salespeople in different gun shops.
Okay.
I mean, I wouldn't say treat every experience or potential experience the same way because people are individuals and they have their own different motivations. But I would say that if anyone was selling you a gun, they should in my opinion, custom fit that gun for you. For one, it should fit your hand like a glove. Okay? You should
when you go to get your golf clubs.
You should be able to manipulate all the controls with one hand. It should be a size that you feel comfortable carrying. It should not
in your purse, ladies.
Yeah, and that's a whole separate conversation. Yeah,
we're gonna definitely have that conversation because I know that when I get my gun will be on my person.
Yeah, that's the best place for it to be, for sure. And just to steal some of the thunder, behind that conversation is that, if you have a gun in your purse, and I've seen people with purses, out in the public, they have the purse in the shopping cart and the cart's like up the aisle and they're way over here, right? Somebody runs off with your purse. Well, guess what? Not only do they have your purse, but
they got your gun.
They got your gun. Or somebody runs up to you with a razor blade or a knife and slice your strap. Now they got your knife and now they have your gun. I mean, keep your gun on your body. And here's the thing, people. A lot of women think, oh, man, I just can't, do the gun on my body thing. And I'm like, yes, you can.
Yes, you can.
There's a lot of different things that you can use and incorporate into your wardrobe. So if you want to wear, what's some things you all wear? Not
Spanx.
Is that what it's called? Spanx? Yeah, like
Spanx.
whatever. It can happen.
Spanx.
It can happen. It can happen such that. And you know what? There's some women who like to be, who like to dress like women. They don't.
I love to dress like a woman.
They don't like to think what they, dress like they think someone might perceive as dressing like a man. They want to dress like a woman. They want to
dress. So I want to be able to have my skirt or my dress.
You can dress with a skirt and a dress.
I might have my move something.
You might want to wear stretch pants.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a way to do it all. I mean,
So now, do you recommend like guns to people that take your class?
I mean, if it fits within the certain parameters that we're operating under, that if it fits their hand like a glove, it's of the appropriate weight, whether we're talking about whether we want a revolver or semi-automatic. I always push people towards semi-autos, but, some people, may not be able to want, a semi-auto. Maybe they want a revolver. So, there's some trade-offs there, and you have to, say, okay, well, if you go with
So is a semi-automatic automatically a Glock?
No.
Okay.
Basically, a semi-automatic basically is a description as to how this particular style of gun fires, right? You pull the trigger, the gun discharges, the slide goes back, it ejects a shell casing, it takes another round of ammunition out of the internal magazine, and then it puts it into the chamber and prepares it for firing the next time. That's a different mode of operation than, say, a revolver. A revolver, people usually know a revolver when they see it. It's got the big giant cylinder in the frame, and you can push the cylinder release latch and push the...
Don't it spin?
Right. Okay. Push the cylinder out that's got all the different chambers in it, right? Just like the movies. Yeah. And you put one round in each chamber and then close it back.
That's what you can play Russian roulette with.
No, you don't ever play Russian roulette. Don't ever.
I know they do that on
And you know what? And you hear about those unfortunate tragedies that actually happen in real life. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, some people think it's cool to take a gun and take a round and put it into an empty chamber and then spin it and
because they see it on the movie,
point it to the head and pull the triggers. For some people, that seems like fun. That doesn't seem like my idea of fun.
Not my idea of fun either. No. You had a question?
Yeah. Do you? Is there certain calibers of guns that they won't allow you to have a CPL for? Because I know they make large caliber handguns.
If I understand your question, you're asking me, is there a certain caliber of gun that you cannot have, possess, or carry? Yeah. Is that what you're asking me? Mm-hmm. Okay. See, that's the NRA thing, right? First, make sure that you understand the question, because I wasn't quite sure where you were going with that, so I was checking for understanding, and we got a consensus on what he wants. No, man, you can shoot any caliber of gun you want, carry any caliber of gun you want. I mean, obviously, the larger the caliber, the bigger the ammunition, the more powerful the discharge is going to be, and it's going to be more difficult to control without appropriate training and skill. And if it's a big giant gun and you're a real small person, that might create some obvious issues. But no, man, get whatever gun that fits your hand like a glove, that is of decent quality, that is your particular style of choice. I usually push people towards semi-autos that you can shoot accurately, because you want to be able to shoot that gun accurately, because there's some bad things that can happen if you're not accurate with your gun. There was this story that everyone's talking about in social media. I'm trying to remember what state it was in, but it was this guy that was working in some it was like CVS or something, some type of drugstore, and somebody came in and with a gun and started acting up, and so the employee of the drugstore shot the bad guy, but he also shot a couple of other people. So
in the meantime,
it's a huge responsibility. One of the big things is that you got to actually know how to shoot. be able to hit something that's 12 feet in front of you. And in most circumstances, when you need to use your gun under those circumstances, under stress, if you're not well practiced and well experienced because you haven't put the time in, you might miss. And let me tell you, you don't ever miss.
You don't want to. You got
don't.
another question. One more question. After taking the class, how often should a person come to the gun range for practice?
Oh, okay. I would say once you have demonstrated the ability to accurately place your shots on a target, there's some ongoing maintenance practice that you should engage in. And I would say that you should go at a bare minimum once a month and put 50 rounds into your target at a gun range. This is to maintain your ability to accurately hit the target. But this is, of course, assuming that you've learned initially how to accurately shoot. And there's a lot of things that go into that. But once you're able to accurately shoot, then there's some ongoing practice to maintain your skill. Shooting a gun accurately is not, say, like riding a bicycle. If you were riding a bicycle, let me ask you a question.
Okay.
When was the last time you rode a bicycle?
This summer.
Okay, so you wouldn't be a good example. But let's just say, let's just hypothetical.
No, but hold on.
What's
I
up?
hadn't rode a bike since 15 years.
Okay, see, so that makes my point. Now, see,
15 years.
The point
15
I'm making,
years
the
before,
point,
and it was difficult.
the point that I'm making,
I
though,
was all
the
wobbly.
point that I'm making, though, is that at some point in time in your life, you mastered how to get onto a bike,
Yes.
and how to balance yourself,
Yes.
and how to make it go from point A to point B.
Yes.
That's a lifelong skill that once you learn how to do it, you're like, I know how to ride a bike. Haven't done it in 10, 15 years, but give me a bike. I'll get on it, and I'll at least go maybe 10, 15 feet or so,
Before I fall.
or whatever, right?
Before I fall.
Shooting a handgun accurately,
It's not like that.
I would say, is different than that.
Okay.
Okay.
So-
What you want to do, you want to achieve a certain level of proficiency, accuracy, and then maintain that ability over time by putting in work, putting in practice every month.
I'm feeling some kind of way right now.
What do you mean?
Because I took a class years ago.
What kind of class? What? No, let's be specific.
I don't know the name. I took the class so that I can get my license.
Okay, you took a license,
And
a
then
class.
I had to shoot.
Okay.
And then the little target thing.
The silhouettes, yeah.
And I shot in the middle, really, So when he brought the thing back, he said, "You are natural." And I was like, he
There are
probably
some
just-
people. No, there are some.
Really?
There are some people that, let me tell you, never shot a gun before, and they're not afraid. They're not intimidated.
I wasn't afraid.
They entrust that they're going to receive some information that they're going to eagerly apply without any fear because they trust the person that's training them. And you know what? They shoot awesomely. They shoot great. They're awesome.
Okay, so what's the
I
difference
call them
between
naturals.
a sharpshooter and a marksman? What's the difference?
Well, there's certain lines of demarcation that if you were to put up a target silhouette and say, okay, you put so many shots within this tightly
Target,
defined area, out of all of the shots that you took, based on your score, would classify you as a different rating.
Oh, okay. So I was ranked high.
Okay.
That was years and years ago. I probably
Well,
can't
if you
even
did
see
it
them.
once, let me tell you about confidence, man. If you did something once, that means what? You have the ability
To do it again.
of doing it again.
That's like having a child. I had a child once, but I knew I wasn't ever going down Labor Lane again. Never, ever. Let's go to line 1 with Kay. Kissing Kay.
Hi,
Kissing Kay.
Good morning, Dr. Sabrina, and to your guests.
Hi.
Hey.
Yeah, I have a question for you, Dr. Sabrina. There's several questions for your guests, but I want to start off saying I heard you all talking about, you graduated in 84 and how long ago that was. Well, it was 74 for me, and I feel good.
I know that's right. Hey, and Kay,
We didn't mean to step on any toes
Kay,
for anybody
what-
that
look.
graduated before 84.
what I know about Kay, she's still kissing. I know that. She's still a kissing Kay. I know that. Look.
Yeah, to your
Okay.
guest, I kissed James Ingram out in California, the singer.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
what we call a kiss and case.
But
He
see,
got
but
lots
see,
of
well,
kissing
wait. You're
stories.
not supposed to kiss and tell, right?
Well, I had to tell that one.
That's a good story.
Okay.
That's
All
a
right.
good. That was a good story.
Yes, but anyway, Dr. Sabrina, I heard you talking about some of the men that you come across, and of course, you're one of my favorite people. I look up to you and admire you.
thank
So,
you
with
so
all
much.
the circles that you go in, seems like you would come across men of on your level. I know you have some others who may be duds or whatever, but
Did she just say duds?
I love it. She say they does. This is what I've learned, Kay, and I hate to say it, but
No men bashing.
I'm not going to men bash, but I'm just going to say this: just because a person has a certain skill set, degrees, and a certain level of money, don't make them not still kind of trifling.
yeah, well, that's true. Yeah, because I met, different ones in college, and I didn't end up marrying any of those, but of course, well, my husband,
Yes,
Dr.
I do.
Sabrina,
Yes, I
met a
do.
man
Yes, I
with
do.
a good trade,
Yes.
and a nice Christian man.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
Yes, 30 years for your guest. I've been married 30 years, sir.
Congratulations. I was
love it.
married and I didn't make it 30 years.
I was married, and I've been married twice, and I didn't make it 30 years. Hey, Alex Kimbrough. So I don't know. We're gonna work on it. Alex always says that men are intimidated by me, which I don't get that either, because I'm just as nice and sweet. Ain't I nice and sweet?
I mean, hey, I have no complaints. I mean, but this is not the first time I've met you. We've met.
I know, but I'm just saying that I'm nice.
You are nice to me. You've never offended me, never
Am I
called
nice,
me out
Mark?
my name or anything. I mean, you're great.
I'm sure the right one will come along for you, Dr. Sabrina. I think the Lord's going to bless you.
Keep praying for me, Kate. Keep those
Okay.
prayers going. Keep the prayers going, because I believe
sure
that
will.
it would be nice to have the person that God has uniquely crafted just for me.
Oh, yes. Well, there's one out there.
Okay, so you got
Okay,
questions
now
for
I
Rick?
have questions for your guest.
Okay.
Now, how much does it cost for the class,
Good
and
question.
do you learn how to shoot the gun within those 8 hours?
Well, yes. Yes, we will ensure that we teach you how to shoot the gun in those 8 hours. If you come into the experience with an open mind, that you actually have a certain trust level that the instruction that will be provided to you will not result in any acts that would harm you, that you actually believe that you can do this. It's not uncommon for people to come into this whole learning how to shoot thing, do exceedingly well during class. But that just based on a lot of things that come into it. Because there are some people that I get who really are there because they felt like their backs have been pressed up against the wall, and they really have no other alternative than to get a gun for personal protection of their home. And they really feel like they really don't want to do it, but, man, they feel that they have to do it more than they really don't want to have to do it. And there's all this fear and, some mental hang-ups you have to get overcome. There have been crime victims who felt that they wanted to get the gun and learn how to use it. And, they had to get over just looking at the gun and just seeing it because they just had those mental images of being robbed. And trust me, I was robbed at gunpoint myself 14 years ago, and I tell you, I still can remember the incident vividly. But the thing is that I didn't let that experience hold me back or keep me from growing and progressing and learning and picking up new skills to defend myself. So there's a lot of different mindsets and hang-ups that some people, bring to the table when they come to the class. But
Okay, and how much does it cost?
the course of the class is $150 is tuition. I am always actively pursuing individuals who have a desire to take on a more active role in their personal protection. I believe that it is incumbent on people who wish to have a means of being safe that they do that. You know, we have had numerous decisions by the Supreme Court, which has already put us on notice that it is not the job of local law enforcement to ensure that you are not a crime victim. Their job is to provide general law and order and to enforce the laws that are on the books, but it is not their job to prevent you from being a crime victim. Your personal protection is ultimately your responsibility and your job.
Okay, now what would concern me is the gun, being scared that the gun would go off. You know, like if you have it next to you on the seat or just when you grab it, because usually you keep it locked, and then if you need to use it, you don't always have time to unlock it. Is that right?
Well, I tell you what, if you need to use a gun, it probably would be in your best interest for it not to be locked and you needing to unlock it. That delves into a couple of things that I want to make sure that I'm absolutely clear about guns going off. A gun will go off if you pull the trigger. Now, if you pull that trigger before you want that gun to discharge and before you want the gun to go off, then yeah, there could possibly be an issue there, which is why one of the first things that it's really important for you to do is to learn how to properly handle and pick up a gun. The key thing is you don't pick it up with your finger on the trigger, okay? And, you know, if you watch a lot of television, and I'm kind of like a stickler for details, if I'm watching a movie or a TV show and I'm watching someone with a gun in their hand that they're not actively trying to shoot, but their finger is on the trigger, or if you see like an advertisement in some magazine, they have their finger on the trigger, and it's like, no, that is a blatant safety violation. One of our biggest safety violations is to keep your finger off the trigger until you have made the conscious decision to fire, because if you're ever under stress and you're under the effects of adrenaline and there's a loss of blood to your extremities, such as your fingers, you may not feel certain things that are happening with your hands and with your fingers, loss of sensation there, or maybe you encounter some stimulus, something surprises you or shocks you, and you jump or you flinch. And if your finger's on that trigger, you may actually discharge it before you actually would want to, but the law has to treat it as if that's what you meant to do because that gun discharged and it was your finger that pulled it. So guess what? Keep your finger off that trigger until you're ready to shoot.
Okay, and are 40-year-old bullets any good?
Our 40-year, well, I would tell you, there's a possibility in general that they're probably not good, because I'm making the assumption that they probably over 40 years weren't properly stored and maintained in a good environment for those firearms, kept in a relatively cool room temperature environment that's not subject to humidity. There could be a loss of degradation of the potency of that powder charge in that cartridge. Some unreliable things could happen with that ammunition, you know, like misfires, hang fires, and squib loads.
Okay.
I wouldn't advise you to rely on 40-year-old ammunition for self-defense. I'd probably say take that off to the gun range and shoot that off and get some new stuff that you're going to properly care and maintain and put in the appropriate environment so that it's available for your use when you need it.
Okay, because my father used to have old guns. He's been deceased 40 years now. But anyway, this is something, too, old school. He used to say, you know, of course, if a person comes into your home, you have a right to defend yourself. But he used to say, you know, like when they try to steal something of yours outside in the backyard, or he said, just shoot them in the leg and then drag them in the house.
Oh, yeah. You know, I still hear those stories, but I do not advise that at all.
They got evidence.
Not at all. I mean, nah. You don't shoot somebody who's
And
dragging
then
off
and then
your,
drag
your,
them in.
your personal property out of a garage. Nah, that's just asking for trouble. This whole dragging bodies and stuff. Yeah, I've heard those stories before. I mean, no, you do not go off in the dragging people and creating evidence and destroying evidence and manufacturing evidence. No. The
That's
key
all
point.
illegal.
They used to say that back in the day.
There's
some
some
older people.
Oh, it's some of those people still around and still saying that stuff and still sharing that information with younger folks. And there's still some people who haven't had the opportunity to take a class. But here's the thing about this day and age in which we live in. We live in the so-called information age. There is no reason why a person who has a cell phone or a computer or access to the internet can't learn anything that they want to learn. All you need is the slightest bit of curiosity and just go to Google, type in some phrases that loosely relate to what you're looking for, and that information will magically appear right on your cell phone, right on your laptop. And it's just a matter of you bouncing the information that you receive off of several different sources to make sure that you didn't come across a bad site. Make sure that you're checking the credentials and the background of the people who are publishing this information. But I tell people all the time, there's no excuse for no one not to know anything.
Right.
I mean, literally.
Unless you just
choose to be, what's the word, ignorant?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So after you take that class, are you all done and, maybe practice? Do you get your license then?
Well, once you take and pass the course, you will receive a certificate, and then you take that certificate to your county clerk's office and you pay the licensing fees. And then once they complete your background check, they will then issue the license. The only caveat I would have is going back to what we talked about earlier. Assuming, of course, that you learn how to satisfactorily shoot during your training class, go to the gun range at least once a month and maintain your level of ability to accurately shoot what you're aiming at.
Okay. And what's your website?
My website is DetroitCCW.com.
Well, Detroit, what was that other?
CCW.
Oh, CCW.com. Okay. All right. Well, thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Hey, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for calling, and thank you for the questions.
Love you.
All right. Love you. Bye-bye.
Okay. We got tons of questions from Alex Kimbrough. Oh, my God. I'm going to get to your questions right after this break, Alex. We'll be back after these messages right here on 910 a.m., the future of radio.
Essentially, Sabrina. Essentially, Sabrina. Essentially, Sabrina. Essentially, Sabrina.
Do you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS? If so, you may qualify for the IRS's Fresh Start program. The Fresh Start program is one of the biggest tax breaks the IRS has offered. Call Tax Group Center at 800-685-6150 to see if you qualify for the IRS's Fresh Start program. Their team of tax experts and attorneys will get you the best tax settlement possible. Call 800-685-6150 now to learn if you qualify for the IRS's Fresh Start program. Call Tax Group Center at 800-685-6150. 800-685-6150.
If you or a loved one underwent hernia surgery between 2010 and 2016 and then suffered serious complications, call right now. You may be entitled to financial compensation. Complications associated with physomesh include chronic pain, infection, adhesions, mesh migration, reopening of the hernia, and other serious injuries. Call right now.
Call 1-800-799-2091. Again, that's 1-800-799-2091.
Please Please join attorney Michael Fortner, Reverend Horace L. Sheffield III, and help us to make Christmas merry with bundles of Christmas gifts for Detroit's needy children. Saturday, December 22nd, 2018, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Dabo Sheffield Center, 12048 Grand River in Detroit, Michigan, 48204. You can make Christmas merry for our children of the Detroit community by making a donation to those who will give gifts to those who come from local shelters, youth programs, and local schools. We need your help by donating at least $25 per child. You can go to www.dabodetroitinc.com or www.newdestinyworldwide.com and send your contribution or write a check payable to Dabo and bring it or mail it to Dabo, 12048 Grand River in Detroit, Michigan, 48204. Sponsored by Dabo, Meyer, 910 AM Superstation, I Can See My Future, Jorgensen Ford, TFLS, Disability Network, and New Destiny Christian Fellowship.
So you've decided to go to college. That's cool. So pop quiz. Which is a better way to earn your degree? Commute to college and fill your gas tank, get stuck in traffic, drive in bad weather, try to find a parking space, walk a half mile to class, or learn online at Independence University. You don't go to college. College goes to you. That's independence. That's Independence University. And all your supplies, including a brand new laptop and tablet, are included with tuition. Independence U for an independent you.
Call 1-800-556-7791.
We got the topics, the guests, the opinions, and the facts.
This weekend.
What?
Right here.
910 AM Superstation, the voice of Detroit. We're the hottest station in town. Whatever you need, it's right here on 910 AM Superstation, the most powerful voices in the urban community.
If you're struggling to pay the mortgage, Making Home Affordable is a free government resource that can make it easier. Call 888-995-HOPE or visit makinghomeaffordable.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Treasury, HUD, and the Ad Council.
3, 2, 1.
You're listening to 910 AM Superstation. You're listening to 910 AM Superstation.
The best in the city.
WFDF Farmington Hills, Detroit. 910 AM Superstation, a division of Adele Media.
And welcome back. You are tuned into the Essentially Sabrina Show. I am your host, Dr. Sabrina. You can find out more about what I do, the counseling, the coaching, the speaking, all of that. Just go on over to my website, sabrinajackson.com. Again, sabrinajackson.com. And you can schedule your appointment right there. You don't have to talk to my assistant. You have to just go there. Put in what you want. We'll get you on the calendar. And then if you're interested in our Essential Colors model, Essential Colors is a personality assessment model to help you understand how you're wired and then how to deal with people who are wired differently. Because I say it all the time, the number one problem people have is other people.
Now, some people got some problems that are internal, right? Sometimes the battle is within.
They're still people.
And then once
you the people.
Right. And then once you got that mastered, then you can start doing some interpersonal stuff, right?
So it is very important that we learn how to navigate our relationships and not just the ones that are easy for us, but those that may cause us a challenge and things of that nature. And that website is essentialcolors.co, essentialcolors.co, C-O, not C-O-M, just C-O. And you can go there and take the test, find out what color you are. Actually, you can find out all 4 of your colors because we all have all 4 colors in us. They're just at a different level. So I have Mr. Rick Ector in the room tonight, and he is kicking the knowledge. I want to start right now by going back to the thing that you said, the things that, because he said, why do people use guns to just, why they needed just to kill people? And you said no. And then you said the first line of defense is not the gun. What is the first line of defense?
Oh, yeah. The first line of defense doesn't even involve using a firearm. If you have to use a firearm, that's because some other things have failed. You know, the very first thing that really is your first line of defense is your level of awareness. Okay. At any time you are awake, And I say it anytime you are awake, because the only time you're not going to be aware of anything is if you're sleeping. So if you are awake, you should be aware of your environment and who's there and what they're doing. And you should be concerned with whether their actions are congruent to the environment. You know, let's say typical experience people are familiar with going to a gas station. Go to a gas station, you typically might see a variety of people who are engaged in acts that are relevant to being at a gas station. You might see people putting air in tires, pumping gas, getting snacks and that type of thing. If you see, or doing the windshield, if you see anyone at a gas station who is engaging in some behavior that is not germane or relevant to being at a gas station, that should make your attendance level meter go, okay? Because you are out of place and you apparently are engaged in some preoccupation that has nothing to do with being at a gas station.
I want to get to your list about the tips, the things to make sure you do during the holiday, and I think that you should do them anyway.
Right?
I don't think you just do them like the holiday overnight. You just go back to being.
Well, the holiday is like the Super Bowl because everyone's preoccupied with the holidays, shopping, pocket full of money. You got good tidings and good cheer, and you're not paying attention.
Not paying attention. So Alex says, if a person is a knucklehead, can he still take your class?
Well, I need a working definition of what a knucklehead is. Is a knucklehead a person who can actually legally own and possess a firearm? Is that what we mean? Is that what we mean by a knucklehead?
And so then he went on to say, do you screen the type of people you train?
Do I screen the type of people that I train? Here's the thing. If I have any information or reason to believe that you are what we call a prohibited person, you are a person who is forbidden to legally own or possess a firearm, I will not train you. A person who is prohibited is a person who has a felony conviction, who has either a misdemeanor or felony conviction for domestic violence, someone who was dishonorably discharged from the military, someone has been adjudicated as having a mental illness such that they are a threat to themselves and other people, things of that nature.
Okay.
And no.
Then you can't do it.
It's against the law for one, and two, there's an ethical and moral question there to be empowering people who should not have guns.
Okay, so I got your list. So I want y'all. Okay,
right.
So let me say this because I'm so bad at this. You got to help me.
What's up?
About giving the number. I never give the number. I give the number at the top of the show, then I forget. So the number here, if you have a question,
it's right here,
I know, but I still don't read it.
It's right in your face.
In my face. The number here, if you want to call in and ask questions, and this is a perfect opportunity when you have an expert in the building. Ask your questions. My biggest pet peeve is when I hear people say, they said, who the heck is they? I bring you the theys on this show.
Right.
Rick is a they. That's my they. If I have a question in this lane, I'm going to Rick. So I don't have to say they said. I can say Rick Ector said. That's what I'm going to say. Because I have my list of theys, and I have names attached to them. So you can call in and join the conversation or ask your questions. The number here is 313-778-7600. Again, the number is 313-778-7600. The first thing on your list for your holiday shopping tips is to avoid being out after dark.
Yeah.
Then I couldn't come to work. I'm at work right now. And it's not even a holiday time. I'm at work every day.
And what's I shouldn't say funny. I was about to say what's funny. What's distressing and disturbing is that things have gotten to such a point where, it's bad during the daytime. You're hearing about some very bad things happening to good people in broad daylight now. But all things considered, it's safer during the day than it is at night. That's not to say bad things don't happen during the day, but definitely at night. is an increased time of
Shenanigans.
concern, and that you should exercise more diligence in the day exercise more diligence at night than you do in the day. But keep in mind, bad things happen to people during the daytime.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
When you have a CPL and you are, like, say, for instance, if you pulled over in a traffic stop, okay. Now, is there certain things, is certain protocols that you have to follow as far as dealing with the police when you have a CPL?
Well, there's a statutory requirement that you must inform the police officer if you have a concealed pistol license and you are carrying. Okay. If you have a CPL and you are carrying, you have a duty to immediately inform that officer, hey, officer, before you do anything, let me interrupt you. My name is such and such. I have a concealed pistol license. I have a gun. Do you have any special instructions for me?
Right.
And, there have been a couple of situations elsewhere. I believe the Fernando Castile case. I believe that was in Philly, if I wasn't mistaken. Was it in Philadelphia? No, it was in Minnesota, I believe, where there was a contact with law enforcement officer. There was a request for him to get his identification, and there is the possibility that when he was reaching for his identification that the officer asked him to look for, that the officer thought he was reaching for a gun.
And killed him.
And he died, and the police officer was charged and put on trial, and he was found not guilty. So,
the first thing, I'm just going to be real honest. The first thing that came to my mind,
right,
when you say you have a duty to tell the cop, and if you in skin that look like mine, it may cause that particular officer to think a certain way and treat you a certain way, and you're doing everything you're supposed to do.
Well, I always tell people, and, from my own personal experience, I mean, and here's the thing. As I've gotten more gray, I don't get stopped
as much. You're not a threat anymore, right?
Well, that's basically what I'm saying in a very nice way. I got all this gray. I mean, it's what it is. And I believe, just based on my personal experiences, that if you fit a certain demographic, if you're black and you're young, you're going to get stopped more than if you're black and got a little gray on you. That's just a fact. Now, it might be because some officers are fishing. Well, you know what? There's probably a reason why they're fishing, because usually when they fish that demographic,
but not always.
You're right. And that doesn't justify the practice.
Right.
It does not.
It does not.
It does
so
not justify.
I have a question. Have you seen the movie The Hate You Give?
No, I don't believe I'm familiar with that movie. Who's in it?
Oh, Common is in it. It's about the little girl. She's a teenager.
Okay.
And she lives in an all-black neighborhood, kind of ghetto, but her parents take her to a predominantly white school. And the guy she grew up with, she sees him at a neighborhood party. A fight breaks out. He's taking her home. They get pulled over. The officer tells him to get out the car. He reaches for his brush, and the officer kills him. And so Common plays the girl's uncle.
Okay.
And one of the things and Common's an officer, and he said that, oftentimes when officers are stopped, are stopping people, they're thinking about their safety. And if it's a black man, they're going to shoot first. And so she asked the question, if the scenario was the same, but it was a white man, would you shoot first or would you tell him to, put your hands up or whatever? And he was quiet for a minute, and then he just said, I'd tell him to put his hands up. And so it was such it was just a moment in the movie just made you go like, well, damn.
Well, here's the thing that I always share. And yes, law enforcement has a inherently dangerous job, potentially dangerous job.
Yes.
And on any particular stop, who knows what
can happen.
What can happen to their safety. So in keeping that in mind, my recommendation for individuals who have been stopped by the police is to engage in, let's call it Rick's rules or Rick's protocols for police stop.
Oh, I like that.
Right? Pull over. If it's dark, cut on your internal light, roll down the window, hands on the steering wheel.
Or hands on the dash.
Hands on the dash, hands on the steering, wherever your hands are.
So they can see both
Keep
of them.
them plainly in sight and have them stationary, right? So that when they walk up to the car, they see your hands clearly and see that you are not a potential threat engaging in any activity that would justify them using deadly force. So, and it's really sad that we have to suggest this protocol, but I think if it saves one person from being shot, then I think it's worth following it.
Well, I know for me, when my son began driving, I remember having a discussion with him that said, okay, because we lived in West Bloomfield, and I said, you are going to be stopped.
Oh, yeah. It's a rite of passage.
You are going to be stopped because you are not just driving while black, you driving while dark-skinned black. And dark-skinned black is different than light-skinned black.
Well, I'm not a light-skinned brother, so I can't speak on the light-skinned brother experience. But
they don't get pulled over as much as dark-skinned black.
I don't know.
I do.
I don't know.
I'm a therapist, and I work with families, and I just see the colorism. The colorism.
Colorism, okay.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Colorism.
Yeah, colorism.
It's the first time I've heard that term.
Oh, my God, look it up. Oh, yes.
I will look it up.
Colorism is the practice of people treating each other differently because of their skin tone or skin hue being different within the same culture.
So that's like within our culture, within the black community, me treating someone different because they're dark skinned or because they're light skinned.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, I'm a dark chocolate brother, so
I'm chocolate.
And there's nothing wrong with it.
However,
as a matter of fact, people like chocolate
these days, but it hasn't always been that way.
There was a time.
It was a time now. But it's interesting because I do a show called The Real Reveal with teenagers. And we film on Tuesdays. And our topic this past Tuesday was colorism. And so half of the group was light-skinned, half of the group was dark-skinned.
Was that intentionally?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So I wanted to, and so it was interesting to hear, because my question was, in your home, in your family, do you see people treated differently, or has there been messages about people being treated differently because of skin color? And the little girl said, all three of us, it's 3 siblings, we all have a different shade. She said her youngest brother is very, very fair with what they call good hair. So he got the wavy hair,
good hair, right?
The good hair. And then she got an older brother that's real, real dark.
Okay.
And then she's in the middle. She's brown skin.
Okay.
And among themselves, they do pick at each other and call each other names and stuff based on color. But every time their mother hears it, she nips it in the bud and stops it.
As she should.
As she should. And so it was a very good discussion because one of the dark-skinned girls said that the light-skinned girls always get asked out more. And it's just because they light-skinned with long hair. And so that was something that was a discussion when I was in high school. It was a discussion when my mama was in high school. And it's just a thing. And so we talked about the study that was done where they took the white dial and the black dial and asked the kids.
Yeah, which one they wanted to play
Which
with,
one they wanted to play, which one was the bad dial, which one was the good dial.
Right.
And the bad dial was always the black dial. And so that was in the 1940s when they first did that study. They did the study 2 years ago, and it was the same. Same answers.
Oh, interesting.
Same answers. And they've done it over, they've done it throughout the years. So it's not just they did it in the 40s and they did it 2 years ago. They've done it in the 40s, in the 60s, in the 80s, always the same.
Okay.
And that's because the number one thing we are is visual. And we see difference. Even a baby will stare at you if you look different. They just will. Or they'll want to touch your hair, or they want to, they're just fascinated by the difference. And how do you teach that difference is okay? And that it doesn't mean that you treat somebody less than, or it doesn't mean that you treat somebody and put them on a pedestal either.
Okay.
Because of that difference. Colorism. That's the thing. Okay. So you said to take somebody with you. I broke all the rules tonight. I went and got, got dessert by myself.
There's always
after dark.
There's always safety in numbers, right? I mean,
yeah.
And here's the thing. I mean, it's very possible, and I've read, news stories where there have been couples or people who were in threes were attacked and robbed. But by and large, there is safety in numbers. And generally speaking, if you're by yourself, you're at greater risk for being a target than if you were with someone else.
They had that robbery that happened at the barbershop.
Which one?
Like yesterday. It was yesterday.
Okay.
They went in there and took all their jewelry and.
Now, see, that's one that really surprises me because just from
what you know
training and what I know about barbers, most barbers have guns, and most barbers can still carry permits, and most barbers are armed.
Well, if you busy cutting hair.
Well, you're dealing with an all cash business, right?
Right.
Few people use debit and credit cards at the barbershop or I don't know, when women get their hair done, is it cash? Or
I use my card. I cash app everything.
Okay. I didn't know that.
I try not to do. And the other thing we do is if I go someplace and it's all cash, I'll help set them up on Cash App. Because the lady that does my hair, she didn't do that at first, and I says, look.
Right.
I don't like having this much cash on me at one time, so we need to work this out.
Right.
And
Give me
she's
your
older.
phone. Right. Give me your phone.
And so I set it up for her. And she said, ooh, baby, that's just so helpful.
Right.
It's time for me to take my final break of the evening. We'll be back with more of the Essentially Sabrina Show right here on 9:10 a.m.
Essentially Sabrina. Essentially Sabrina. Essentially.
Are you drowning in debt? Struggling just to make minimum payments? It's not your fault. Serious debt can happen to anyone, but there is hope. Our debt-free program has helped thousands of good people just like you eliminate their credit card debt. Call us today and we will dramatically reduce your credit card debt down to just a fraction of what you owe. The call is free. The consultation is free. Take control of your credit debt. Take control of your life again. Call now to see how our debt-free program can work for you.
Call 800-872-5230.
I knew I could get myself out of this. I just needed some hope and some help.
I took the first step to recovery when I made the call.
Since 2014, Addiction Hope and Helpline has answered calls for recovery and treatment 24/7, 365 days a year. If you're depressed, drinking, using drugs, or taking pills, call now and talk to someone who cares.
I had problems just getting to sleep, drinking and using pills every night.
I feel like I'm losing control. I'm afraid I'll lose my job or even my family.
Most insurance covers substance abuse. You can get back on track. Call now for hope and help with proven gentle recovery programs.
I never thought that I could be somebody who didn't drink and use drugs.
I have something to hold on to for strength. I'm in recovery, getting the help I need.
Call 800-379-4799, 800-379-4799.
Attention! In July 2018, Bayer announced that it will be halting its sales of Assure. The Assure birth control may break or migrate after insertion, puncturing the fallopian tube, resulting in corrective surgery to remove the device. Thousands of women have reported debilitating health problems to the FDA. In April 2018, the FDA restricted sales of Assure to protect women and required that patients receive risk information.
Please call 800-425-9539.
Essentially Sabrina. Essentially Sabrina.
and welcome back. You are tuned into the Essentially Sabrina Show. I am your host, Dr. Sabrina. I want you to tune in every Tuesday, except this coming Tuesday, because this coming Tuesday is Christmas, and I won't be here. But every other Tuesday, I will be on Fox 2 at 6:30 p.m. with People 911 with Dr. Sabrina, because people are in a state of emergency. They need some help. So we be giving them some good little tips, techniques, tools on how to handle this thing we call life and relationships. This past week we talked about, this whole week they've had a focus of mind, body, and soul, or mind, body, and spirit. And so when they asked me, could I come up with something around spirit and soul?
Yeah, I saw that.
And so I talked about having a spiritual checkup. That was good. It was good stuff. And it's so funny because all I'm doing is recycling stuff I had a long time ago.
Well, you know what? That's great, because you know what? If you have a lot of content,
I have tons of content.
It's called repurposing.
Yes,
your
repurposing
content.
my content. Mm-hmm. So I did a sermon in 2009. And maybe before that, I think maybe 2007, called A Spiritual Checkup. And I had a doctor's bag, and I set the doctor's bag up on the podium, and I start pulling items out the bag. Mm-hmm. And so as I pulled the item out the bag, I would hold it up, and they would go, what's next? They were like, what's next?
Right.
But when I pulled that tongue depressor out, the whole audience just, oh, Lord. I said, y'all know. Y'all talking too much.
Right.
Shut up sometime. Oh, my God. So I do have my brother from another mother, Rick Ector, who is the proprietor of Rick's Firearm Academy of Detroit. Where is that located?
Man, where is it located? It's wherever I am. If we wanted, we could have class right here.
No, we can't have class right here, right now.
I'm just telling you, it's wherever I am.
We can't be shooting guns.
Of course not. We only shoot guns in the city at a gun range.
At the range.
And we would go to a gun range and conduct class and to shoot. There are some communities where they're appropriately zoned where they can actually go shoot in their backyard, but Detroit and Southfield isn't one of them.
Oh, don't you love it when you learn something? Okay, so we're still going through the list of things you need to remember and do and not do for the holiday season. So first is to avoid being out after dark, which is like almost impossible to get dark at like 5 o'clock. Take somebody with you. I don't even like people around me.
Right.
Don't flash cash.
Yeah.
That's so big. Did you see? No, I'm a movie person. Did you see the movie The Green Book?
No.
I don't like y'all. Y'all need to go to the movies.
No. We go to the movies. It's just that maybe you and I are into different genres. Right.
That's all y'all watch is action?
Right. It's a guy thing,
You
I guess.
all are smart men. Watch something that has some mental stimulation.
Like what? Give
The
me another
Green
one.
Book.
Give me another one. Give me another one. Give
The
me another
Hate
one.
You Give.
No, give me another one. Give me another one.
Let me see the movie I saw after that was Creed. So.
I saw Creed.
I didn't see Creed.
You didn't miss nothing.
Okay. No, you didn't. You could have wrote it.
You seen Rocky 3 and Rocky 4?
You probably if you've seen any of them, you probably see them all, right? Same plot.
Oh my God, it's so crazy. So, but in the Green Book, the guy went to because he was black, but he was classically trained. So he was on this tour playing for all these white people.
Playing what?
The piano.
Okay.
Yeah. And so he had a white guy that was his driver. And so
I saw the preview for that.
Previews for that. So it was really good. And so there was a scene talking about dot flashing cash. They were in a all-black establishment, and the black guy pulled out a wad of money. Mm-hmm. And the white guy saw the guys looking at him. And so when they left, he didn't see the guys. And so when he got right by the car, he took his gun out and shot 2 times up in the air, and the guys ran off.
That's a no-no, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a movie thing.
Yeah, you can't just take a gun and just aim
Shoot
it
it
at
up
the
in
sky and start.
Because the bullet that go up got to come down.
It's subject to the law of gravity. Yes,
It's gonna come down.
Yes,
and it
somewhere.
may get somebody.
Yes,
that's good. Okay, so don't flash your cash.
and no warning shots.
No warning shots.
I don't think that's on the list, but we're
It's
going
not.
to add that.
We're gonna add
based on your story.
Oh,
you
no.
told. and we're subject to add some more rules.
Right. We're gonna add some more rules on the list. We're making this list up as we're updating. We're updating the list. Okay, don't overburden yourself with packages. So don't be fiddling around with a whole bunch of packages and you trying to get your keys together. Look.
It should be like
A well-oiled machine.
Right. You ever see those guys at the Indianapolis 500 and they come in and they need to get a quick change, get all the tire changed. Pit stop, right?
The pit stop.
And all the guys, they hit the car and each person has a specific
The
role.
They
and
get done.
they're done and it's like it happens like magic. Well, that needs to be you. You need to be in and out.
In and out. So the next thing is stay out of gas stations and parking lots. Now, when I read that, I went, well, how am I going to get gas if I don't go to the gas station?
Stations and parking
and then
lots.
I got to park, especially if I go downtown.
Well, yeah, and the thing is, gas stations and parking lots are among, if not the most dangerous places to be.
So
And
what do you think about the green light?
I mean, it's a nice concept, but at the end of the day, a green light is not going to stop someone from shooting you, stop someone from
That's
raping
true.
you, stopping someone from driving off with you.
I like
And then
the
Jay
green light.
Craig said there ain't no police cars, so
it's a green light. I mean, that's all it is. It's a green light. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, if
But
there,
no,
yes,
they
yes.
have
What's
the
what? No,
cameras
right,
and
right, and
okay.
there will be nice, pretty digital quality replay of what happened to you.
But I think, okay, so do you think, because I think this, but I do think that people are deterred from the green light.
No.
I do.
No, there's a whole different breed of criminal out here that doesn't conform to what our generation was used to with crime when we was growing up.
They adapt and overcome now.
These monsters out here today.
No, don't tell
they,
me.
They're not logical. They're they're just animals. I mean,
I
no.
don't want to know.
Oh, I had a question from
Savages.
Kay.
Okay.
And she said that if with pepper spray, if you don't own a gun, is pepper spray effective with someone that has a gun on you?
If someone had a gun on me, I would not attempt to use pepper spray on it. But I'm not a big fan of pepper spray in general. And for the simple fact that there are some people who are actually immune to pepper spray, for one. I mean, no, for real. You can actually use it like mouthwash and that type of thing.
Right.
And then based on the operating environment that you're in, you might actually pepper spray yourself. So.
Yeah, with the wind and all of that.
Yeah, so
just make it easier.
Wow. No pepper spray.
I'm not a big fan of pepper spray. Get a gun.
What does this mean? Oh, yeah. What do you think about tasers?
Tasers, they have their own issues, too. I mean, they're only really functional within a certain range.
Yeah, you got to be close to me in order for me to tase you.
Let's say the taser, the wire that the leads on, let's say that they're 15 feet, right? If a guy pulls a gun on you at 16 feet and you pull out a taser, then
it means nothing.
You have to run after.
Or maybe there's one probe that goes in and the other one hits the ground. I mean, and then when you use it, you have to then drop the unit and then go run somewhere else.
Right.
So I mean, it's not.
Because what if he like the guy in The Hangover?
I'm not familiar. What
you ain't see The Hangover?
It must have been years. How old is this movie?
The Hangover is old, but I love The Hangover.
They made about 12 of them, didn't they?
No, they made 3. Can't stand y'all.
I mean, I don't work for the gun industry, but I'm going to tell you, your best tool
is a gun.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Keep your head on a swivel.
Mm-hmm.
That means always looking around.
Checking out your environment, where you are, who else is there.
And do not walk with your head down.
And making sure you're looking for what's out of place. It's like Sesame Street.
Mm-hmm.
You know, one of these things don't belong, right? If you see something that's out of place, you know what? That's your cue to vacate.
Pay attention. Pay close attention. Watch for vehicles following you.
Oh, that's a huge one.
Let me tell you something.
That's a huge one.
That is a huge one, and that's especially important for people like me because I am off so late. And so I never go home the same way.
That's right.
You know what? That's a good strategy, though.
That is.
I never go home the same way. So if you if you say, "Oh, I know she come this way, she gonna pass it," I ain't passing that today. I ain't passing. I'm going a whole different way. I have like 5 different ways that I go home.
Well, that's good though. That's good.
I do, and I never know until I get in the car which way I'm going.
But see, the thing that people really need to be cognizant about is that someone might be following you. And if you're not paying attention, you're not seeing this same vehicle behind you make every turn that you're making.
You make it. I watch everything. I don't want you to get away from me. Why you turning where I'm turning?
And sometimes, and I've done it where I actually thought someone was following me, and I said, well, let me keep making some turns, right?
Making some turns.
And if you keep making like turn after turn after turn, I'm like, okay, I know for certain you're following me. Now I know for sure. Now that I know for sure, right? I have my gun, it's accessible and it's close to me, and now I can make the plan to lead you to a police station.
And that's the next one. Know where police stations are. And it's important for you to know where police stations are, where you are often. Because I don't live in Southfield, but I'm in Southfield every day.
Then you should know where the Southfield police station
I know where the Southfield police station is. So you need to know where the police stations are where you are, especially if you're there often. You still have time to call in and ask a question, make a comment. The number here is 313-778-7600. Again, that number is 313-778-7600. We are talking personal protection. We are talking guns and the law.
Right.
Number 9, keep your phone charged. But not only keep your phone charged, but don't be talking on your phone while you walking through the parking lot and walk.
Because you're not paying attention.
You're not paying attention. Even if you have your earbuds in, you're still not paying close attention because you're listening.
It's hard to listen
and pay attention.
And pay attention at the same time.
Because have you ever noticed, have you ever done this? Because I know I have. Have you ever done this? Have you ever been in the car and you go like, oh, I think something happened, and then you turn the radio down, and it don't have nothing to do with the radio, but listening, you have to pay it. If you want to pay attention, like I used to get in the car and turn my radio off. That was the first thing I would do. And my mother would say, why do you turn the radio off as soon as you get in the car? I said, because I got to pay attention. I just want to pay attention. I just want to know what's going on when I'm bagging out. I don't want to be... time is
right.
done.
Oh, man. George Clinton.
Yes, love George Clinton. This is my favorite one on the list.
What's that?
Number 10 is my favorite one on the list.
Which one is number 10?
Use valet parking.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I so love valet parking. I remember I was in California and I went to a church, and it was one of them big churches, and they had valet service. I said, oh, my God, this would be my church if I lived here. Only for that reason.
Since we're talking about this very specific time period, if you're going somewhere and you like I'm going to be like within the next day trying to do some last minute things, every place is going to be packed and it's going to be full, and you're probably going to need to park a long way
or
away.
Uber.
Or Uber, yeah.
I love Uber because I don't have to worry about parking. I use Uber, especially if I'm going downtown, because depending on the day, the parking is ridiculous.
Yes, it is.
Well, it's all based on demand, right?
Right. And so I don't want to be down there and they say, oh, you just going to run in there for 5 minutes? That's $30. $30? I didn't have to pay that much doing the Uber.
This is free market.
So, yeah, don't do that. It says guard your personal space. What does that mean exactly, guard your personal space?
It means that you do not allow people that you are not familiar or intimately familiar to get unreasonably close to you.
So I have people all the time that walk up to me and they want to hug me.
No, no, definitely not.
People ask me that all the time. Can I hug you? I was at Baker's the other night.
But see, here's the thing. You're outside of, and I want to make sure I phrase this correctly. I don't want you to think I'm being funny. You are a recognizable figure. People see you because they watch you on TV. And believe it or not, when people see you on TV, they think they know you.
They do.
They think they know you, and they think that you know them.
Mm-hmm.
There's such an affinity and attraction that exists in their mindset to you. You just aren't on the same level that they are with you. But it feels like you're my friend because
I
have such an attraction for you.
Yes, this lady, she was like, oh, my God. She just was doing like, she was tall, and she was, I guess I looked like a little doll to her, because she was just like, you're just so, can I hug you? And what I appreciated is that she asked me.
Oh, yeah, some people probably just take liberties and
people
just do it anyway. But see, my thing is, if I do not know you, you're not going to be within, I guess what I like to call striking distance of me. You know, and once you approach what level of distance I feel is inappropriate for our interaction. Let's say, for example, I'm out in the parking lot or I'm at a gas station or something, and someone says, hey, my man. And I'm like, yes. And then they start walking. I'm like, hey, I didn't say come over to me.
Yeah,
I'm like,
hey, my man don't mean come. You know what?
And you can ask your question right where you are, right there.
That goes into the next one.
I understand English at 10 feet as well as I do at 5 feet. Mm-hmm. How may I help you? Yeah. And we can continue that interaction there. There's no need for someone I do not know well or intimately to walk all the way up on me unnecessarily.
And so this next one says wave off approaches.
I like I just said, hey, I don't do that with people that I do not know and I'm intimately familiar with.
I hate with a passion.
And see, women probably don't want to offend people.
No, I don't care about offending.
Isn't it like a stereotypical thing that women have where they just don't want to offend people, and hurt their feelings? No, you say, hey, I don't know you.
Let
Back
me tell
up.
you this, what I hate with the passion.
What's that?
I hate for men to ask me for money out in a parking lot or at the gas station or, men who are panhandling or whatever they call it. I hate it. I feel like a man should never ask me for money. I don't care if you're homeless. I don't, because you're a man. And don't walk up on me. That is intimidating, and I don't like it.
I see the reason for concern.
Yeah, I don't like it. And I'll tell them, don't walk up on me. I was in California, and I was shopping, and I came out the store, and this man was Hispanic guy, and he says, well, can you give me some money? And I says, no, I don't give men. I said, I don't give men money. That's exactly what I said. I don't give men money. And then my girlfriend who was with me gave him like $2. And then he says, she's the nice one. You're mean. And I was thinking to myself, I don't care what you think. But I just do not like for men to walk up on me because you never know if they may be
even if you're panhandling, that doesn't give you the right to violate
my
your
personal space.
You could panhandle from, 10, 15 feet away.
And you got any change? Nope. I don't have no change.
I really do not like people I do not know attempt to violate my personal space.
Yeah, I don't like it either. So don't let people do that. Keep your distance.
Is your friend.
And then the last thing on the list, carry your gun. So
and I intentionally made it the last one because
people always think that that's your first go-to.
Exactly. Yeah. And so that's why I intentionally made it last. By the time you arrive at the point where the threat to your safety is imminent, the bad guy has already navigated their way through all of those tips to finally put you in a position where you have no other recourse or no other sane alternative to protect yourself.
Okay, I have a question about the different places that you can carry a gun on your body.
Well, it would be every place except the ones that you can't. That's the easier way of looking at it. There are places called pistol-free zones.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they're in the statute.
Really?
Yes, these are places where
Pistol-free zones. Did you know that? I did not know that. Pistol-free zones.
And there's like some advanced topic stuff I don't want to confuse anybody with, but there's certain circumstances where even if they're pistol-free zones, there's a way that you can still carry legally in a pistol-free zone, but that requires you to do something that a lot of people aren't comfortable with.
So for me,
yes.
And if I want to wear dresses or I'm dressed like I'm dressed today,
right,
where would be the best place for me to have my gun?
Well, you like to wear dresses, or you could see you in a nice thigh holster.
So a thigh holster would be
thigh?
like here?
Yeah, like above where the line, where your, what do you call it, the hemline?
Yeah, my hemline.
Right.
Because I could have
right
it up
on
here.
rock that right on your thigh.
But I have a really big thigh. I feel like, oh my God, like
what?
They got thigh holders that are be big enough for my thigh.
Man, they got holsters there.
You want to carry one of them all under the shoulder.
You know,
like I've Cagney and Lacey.
And there are some women who actually carry guns in their bras.
I could see doing that. Is that easy?
No, under.
Under. Yeah, I could see under. Yeah. I could see doing under.
Well, I'm not trying to do any demonstration because I know we got cameras. I don't
all
want
everywhere.
anybody doing a video
everywhere.
of me or what that might look like. Nah.
Right.
I want
They'll
people to
see
use.
him.
I want people to use their imagination. Tell you, the imagination, man. Let it run wild, right?
Okay, so that's going to be one of my goals for the new year, is to take my class so I can get my CPL.
There you go.
And stop saying CCW.
Well, I mean, like I said, it's only a certain type of person that would feel the need to correct you.
Ooh, I've been corrected.
The thing is, my thing is, if I understand the context of you using a certain term, then I know exactly what you mean. I'm not trying to, draw attention to the terminology you're using because you probably haven't taken the class and you're not familiar with some of the nuances of communicating certain concepts. I'm not going to, put you here on a different level. I'm going to work with you where you are and communicate effectively to make it happen.
With your degree in engineering,
industrial
engineering, do you do anything with that degree anymore?
The sign of an intelligent, educated person is that they incorporate and use those skills all the time. I mean, you figure all the communication, all the writing, presentation skills, problem solving. I mean, education is forever.
It sure is. I love it.
And there's wide applications for everything. But am I professionally employed as an industrial engineer? No. But I could be if I wanted to be.
That's how I could be.
If I wanted to be.
Yeah, I could run a.
I spent many years working as a manufacturing supervisor over at Jefferson North at one point.
Jefferson North.
Uh-huh.
How long ago?
This was, when was this? 95, 96?
I wonder what's my daddy still. My daddy used to work there.
Did he ever work in the SPD 9170?
I don't even know what that is.
Engine dress line area?
I have no idea what that is.
Okay, you don't even know the area.
Yeah, I don't know none of that. You don't even know if
he was in paint shop.
I don't know none of that. I think he was in assembly. I think.
Okay, I was in assembly.
He was Oh, can I say this?
What
Can I
part?
say-
What part of the?
Oh,
what
you know, I
parts did
don't
he
know.
put on the car?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I have no idea. But he was a number man.
Oh yeah. Every plant has a number man.
Every has a number man, and he was the number man.
Every plant
my
has
God.
a video CD guy.
Oh yeah, he didn't do that. That was beneath him.
What else did they? Let me say this: anything that you would ever want to buy,
Yeah,
say,
you could buy. Yep.
at Walmart,
You could buy it at
you
the,
could buy it in
at
a
the
plant.
It is a world within itself. Yeah, both my parents worked for Chrysler, but my mother worked at Sterling Stamping.
You could literally find anything you want at the plant.
Wow.
I kid you not.
I always felt like the plant was such a harsh place.
What do you mean by harsh plant?
Because it seemed like it's like, people be cussing and smoking and drinking. It just seems harsh.
I would say there's probably some stereotyping that you're doing
Hmm.
there. Yeah.
I'm just talking about my own mama.
Okay.
My mother was a pistol, honey. And she used to say, I
Gun
have to
metaphor. I like that.
I have to, she said, I have to do this because I work with men, and men only understand certain language.
Okay.
And that's what she said.
Okay.
In the plant. She said, in the plant.
I don't know.
I
I worked in the plant, and I wouldn't make
that assumption.
I am loath to make sweeping generalizations
Me too.
about people.
I don't.
For any reason of their occupation, where they live, educational. I like to make our interaction be the basis of how we proceed and how we act towards one another. I don't want to just...
So, okay, let's talk. I got a few minutes left. Let's talk about the NRA.
Okay.
Is it real popular with the brothers?
Is the National Rifle Association real popular with the brothers? Let me define it this way. The National Rifle Association would like to increase its membership, its participation of
minorities,
all
minorities,
underrepresented classes of people, whether it is based on race, whether it's on gender, sexual identity.
Really? They were really?
Yeah.
Oh.
There are quite a.
I have a client who's he's a serious NRA person. Like every time I see him, he got his T-shirt on. He just.
I mean, the thing that I want to really communicate is that the NRA and people who are members of the NRA is a very diverse body.
Because people don't think that. People think that they racist.
I tell you, I'm a life member of the National Rifle Association, and most years I go to the annual meeting wherever it's located all over the country, and I have yet to have a negative experience. Oh. This is going back a number of years. There is a theme. There is a unifying philosophy, a unifying affiliation when you go to these annual meetings. And it's like you're there and we're all there for the same purpose. Our rights to keep and bear arms are under attack. Individuals are looking to take away our freedom, our rights, and we're all in this together.
So do you think that there are anything that, like the guy in Vegas who shot up all the people and he made what's the thing? You make the gun and he made the gun an automatic gun or whatever. Is that what he did?
I'm trying to figure out which one was it. He made a gun.
He had a whole bunch of guns,
okay.
But he made
a 3D. Was it a 3D printed gun?
No. He didn't make a 3D printed gun. It was something that he ordered that could turn the gun into an automatic weapon. that you can order offline or something.
Or, I mean, there's a lot of things that you can do to guns to turn them into something that's illegal.
Okay, so those things the NRA is not in favor of.
No, the NRA is not in favor of anyone breaking the law.
Okay, so that is the thing that I think people don't think that. They just think that the NRA is in support of everything that's about guns.
There is a wide variety of things that people do inappropriately and criminally with guns. The NRA or any rational, law-abiding gun owner is not in favor of anyone using a gun to commit a crime.
Okay.
The thing is that the gun in of itself and by itself does not do the crime. That is, if I had a gun and I put it literally right here on the table in front of me,
it's not going to do
we could
nothing.
just sit here and just stare at it and just wait for it to move and wait for it to, to activate its controls, load itself, unload itself, aim it at somebody, and depress its own trigger. I tell people this, and that was my Facebook status maybe about a week ago. The gun is not the weapon.
Nope, it's not.
Do you know what it is? Do you want to know? Thank you. The real weapon is the person.
It's the person.
The gun is merely the tool that
they used. Yeah.
The weapon is the bad person with evil intent to do harm to other people.
But
there is no but.
I'm just gonna say I can say my but. It's my opinion. I'm entitled to my opinion, just like you're entitled to your opinion.
You're right. And here's my thing. When I hear people use phrases, they give you this long introductory phrase, and then they throw a comma and say but.
Well,
my thing is, don't use the but or anything that comes before it. Just tell me what comes after the but.
Well, after the but is that there are things that people have, like, okay, so that they've been talking about changing gun laws, like who has access to them, like the whole thing about how do you know if a person, like if I go to apply for a gun and I do have a mental illness, but I don't put it on there, how you gonna know?
Well, have you been adjudicated of having an issue?
And so adjudicated means that it's been some court action.
Probably in some
Okay,
case.
and so as a therapist, I know that I work with people who have not been to court about being mentally ill, but they are mentally ill.
Is that mental illness such that that person is a threat to themselves and other people? Because here's the thing. Mental illness, and you can probably back this up. What's considered mental illness? I've even seen some reference sex that said impotence is a form of mental illness.
It can make you crazy.
I don't know if it makes you crazy, but I've actually seen
they be on suicide watch. I'm just saying.
I've actually. That's funny. 3 o'clock in the morning, you got me laughing. It's hilarious. But there are things that are technically considered mental illness that you wouldn't think would be a mental illness. The key point, the key issue is
if they're a danger to themselves
if you're
or
a
others.
danger to yourself
or to other people. And see, really, and then that's the other thing is that most people don't even realize that if you're a danger to yourself, to other people, or to property, those are the 3 criteria that'll get you hospitalized. So once you're hospitalized, then that creates a record. But you may be in one of those 3 states and never been hospitalized. And
you can say that about anything.
That's true. But I'm just saying, how do you know?
I mean, you might have high blood pressure, but you know what? You never had it checked. Next thing you know, you had a stroke.
Well, someone had a stroke. I'm just saying.
And I'm saying that's how I'm relating to you from personal experience.
I know you are. Well, the time is over. Thank you for hanging out with me, Mr.
Hey, I
Rick.
had a ball. It's like 3 o'clock in the morning, but hey, time went by fast.
It did go by fast. You can come back anytime.
Hey, you want to have me back? I'd be happy to be here.
Come back anytime. Great discussion, great information. It is the holiday season, so I want you to please, please, please be kind to yourself. Love on yourself, because when you love on yourself, you draw love to you. And when you do that, what a wonderful world this will be. Love you. Take care.
Sabrina,
If you or a loved one underwent hernia surgery between 2010 and 2016 and then suffered serious complications, call right now. You may be entitled to financial compensation. Complications associated with physomesh include chronic pain, infection, adhesions, mesh migration, reopening of the hernia, and other serious injuries. Call right now.
Call 1-800-799-2091. Again, that's 1-800-799-2091.
Hi, I'm Joan London with A Place for Mom. Over the years, we've helped thousands of families find senior care, and today's senior living communities have never been better. With amazing amenities like movie theaters, exercise rooms and swimming pools, public cafes, bars and bistros, even pet care services. And nobody understands your options like the advisors at A Place for Mom. These are local expert advisors that will partner with you to find the perfect place and determine the right level of care, whether that's just a helping hand or full-time memory care. Best of all, it's a free service. Call today. A Place for Mom. You know your family, we know senior living. Together, we'll make the right choice.
Call A Place for Mom right now to get our